If there's one certain thing about making music these days, it's that at some point, you're going to be recording at home. And when it comes to recording guitar, especially if you're trying to record real amps and acoustics, then your choice of microphones is one of the most important decisions you can make. I've been recording music for pretty much my entire life, and no matter whether I'm in huge studios or I'm just here at my house, whether or not a guitar sounds the way that it's being imagined usually comes down to the mic. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you what I think are the best microphones for recording guitar at home. Ones that make it easy to get great sounds without breaking the bank. And we'll even listen to some samples so you can decide for yourself. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So if you've been playing guitar for any length of time, the topic of recording has probably come up a million times. Whether you're talking about your own music or just trying to figure out how a tone you love was captured, the pantheon of recording knowledge is a vast and complex network of chaos, opinions, complex gear choices, and historical context, which can make this topic incredibly hard to navigate. But I'd argue it also makes it a ton of fun. So that's how I'm looking at this list. Which microphones will help you have the most fun while recording guitar? We're going to look at mics that can be used for both acoustic and electric, and to some extent interchangeably. Now remember, there are no rules when it comes to making music, and what might seem magical to one person might just be messy to somebody else. So if you take nothing else away from this video, the best thing you can do is experiment and try these things on. Try different combinations and never truly decide until you've heard it for yourself, ideally in person. So let's get into it. Also, as a quick note, I did think long and hard about the role preamps play in this. Yes, a preamp can definitely transform the sound of any mic, for both better or for worse. But with so many people on a budget these days, I wanted to pick microphones that I know will sound great even if they just get plugged into a Universal Audio Apollo or a Focusrite Scarlett interface, without an external preamp and maybe without even a preamp modeling plugin in the signal chain. And so then from here you can take this and then add those things into it. So don't stress about preamps right now, we're just talking about mics. All right, so let's just get the obvious choice out of the way first, the Shure SM57. I like to be different, I like to do different things, but if there's one thing that I'm hooked on, and I don't care if it is the standard and everybody does it, it's the Shure SM57. On guitars, on snares, on vocals, I love this mic. If you've been playing guitar, or if you've listened to rock music at all, you already know what this mic sounds like. This is the centerpiece of so many classic guitar tones. And honestly, it's a staple of most of the recordings done in the last 100 years, which is kind of crazy to think. There's a couple of things that make the 57 so great for electric guitar. The first thing is that it's really responsive no matter if the guitar is quiet or super loud, which gives you more room to record it like the dynamic instrument it actually is. For being just a standard dynamic mic, it's actually really responsive, which is why you can get so many different tones when you take things on or off axis to the source. It's not just one blanket sound across the capsule. There's actually a lot of nuance to this mic. And then the other thing that makes it so great for electric guitar especially is how wonderful it sounds on mid-range focused instruments. And so the 57 does a really great job picking up those frequencies in a pleasant way. We won't spend too long talking about this mic because most of you who are watching this video or play electric guitar probably have this mic. So if you do, congrats, you have something that's probably going to last longer than you are. But if you don't have a microphone yet, if you don't have anything else, this is probably the first mic you should get. I've had this same SM57 since I was 16 years old, and it's still doing a great job. Not to mention, the price of these has really not changed. Even with inflation and even how much gear has evolved over time and space, this microphone is still $100. And you can find them used all day for $50 or less. So if you don't have a 57, just stop watching this video, go buy one, and then come back once you've been using it for a while. The 57 is the gateway to recording electric guitar, and I highly encourage you to have one. Alright, next up on the list is the Audix SCX25. I'm pretty sure this mic was originally introduced as a piano mic, but my first boss, Stephen Hart, got me into using these back around 2009, and they have remained one of my favorite mics. At first we used them a lot on piano for sure, and then migrated to overheads. But after doing record after record with them, and hearing just how detailed but not messy they were, we started to put them on guitar, especially acoustic guitar. This mic continues to blow me away with how beautiful it sounds. It's not super hyped. I would place it more on like the natural end of things. But what it does is really make a source sound a lot more three-dimensional, which is kind of crazy given the price. It sounds a lot more expensive than it really is. I guess it's a large cap condenser, but it sits more towards that small cap condenser, small diaphragm condenser landscape than anything else. One thing about it that's a little tough is that it doesn't take a ton of high SPL. So it's not the mic to put in front of an amp that you're going to crank to 10, and it's not the kind of mic you're going to treat the same way as an SM57. You could put a pad in line with it and that would probably help, but it doesn't really change the fact that the capsule itself is prone to distorting when volumes get a little too high. You can use that to your advantage and make things sound a little scrappy, kind of like Link Wray or the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. But where it really shines is when volumes are a little bit lower, which makes it really great for home, whether you're using a small amp or you have a half stack that you just can't crank. This mic sounds tremendous and big even when volumes are small. And no matter what the genre, this mic seems to find a place to fit in. So when it comes to recording, having a mic like this, that sounds really brilliant but works on a variety of sources and doesn't sound like everything else that's out there, make it a really handy tool to have in the home studio. So I can't speak highly enough of the Audix SCX25. I think it's a huge bang for the buck and belongs in every guitar player's home recording rig. Check it out. Now, when it comes to recording electric guitar, you can't really have this conversation about what microphones to get without talking about at least one ribbon mic. There's some great options out there these days, especially some really affordable choices, but if you have to pick one, it's worth it to just go for the standard and get a Royer R121. Now, ribbons have been around forever, pretty much since the beginning of recording. But over the last 10 to 15 years especially, they've become way more popular. Ribbons have played a critical role in capturing things in a more natural and honestly just darker way, which in the moment can sometimes not be as exciting, but when it comes down to the mix and putting all the elements together, ribbons can really help an instrument find their space. Having used it a ton on electric guitar, I think what makes it so great is that it pairs really nicely with other microphones. So whether you have an SM57 or you have an Audix SCX25, when you put it right next to something else that sounds a lot different than it does, it just complements it really nicely. Being a ribbon and having that figure 8 pattern allows you to play with the phase of it in a much more creative way. Pull out that thick, chunky low end you want, or push like a really nasally kind of top end if that's what you need for your tone. This mic makes something as simple as flipping phase have even more utility than it already does. Not to mention that the front and the back side of the Royer R121 actually sound a little bit different. I've always found, and I believe they mentioned this, that the back side of the R121 is a little brighter. I feel like it's not as punchy as the front end feels, but it's cool that this mic actually has two different flavors to it. You can get some really cool and interesting sounds. And even though ribbons are a lot more resilient than you think and a lot more durable than people are led to believe, they do take some special care and maintenance, but when it comes to the Royer R121, this thing can take a beating. You can pretty much always count on this mic to keep ticking. So as you're building out your home recording guitar setup and adding more mics to your collection, don't get too far down the path without getting some type of ribbon mic for your setup, especially if you're recording electric guitar all the time. Lastly, real quick, this mic does sound awesome on acoustic guitar as well. And if you're looking for a little more of like a lo-fi kind of Phoebe Bridgers or Bon Iver style acoustic sound, this mic does a great job of creating that. So I highly recommend you give it a shot and see for yourself why this ends up as one of the main combos for every producer and engineer recording guitars out there. Before we get going too far, if you can do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe and the like button, I'd super appreciate that. Seriously, I can't tell you how much it does to help grow this channel and bring videos like this to people just like you. So thank you so much for doing that. Without further ado, let's go. And then another must-have dynamic on the list is the Telefunken M80. If there was one mic that was ever going to dethrone the SM57, it's probably this one. It's just like a 57 in the way it reacts, especially to things like compression, but it's just got a little more top end. I feel like it's a little more scooped, And in a good way, it's a little harder to like blow out the proximity effect of it, meaning like when you get the mic too close to something, it's a little harder to make big blown out low end thing, which is nice for guitar. Like it won't get too muddy. I continue to see this mic showing up in studios all the time and in pro guitar rigs all over the world. It's just a heavy duty mic that fits a certain bill, but does it a little bit differently. And that's what I love about it, and I think it's what others find attractive about it as well. It's not hard to find a place or a way to use the Telefunken M80. Basically anywhere an SM57 or even a 58 is being used, you can swap one of these out. Now it's a little pricier than a 57, but it does feel like the sound is giving you like a little more. Biggest thing about it is that it sounds really finished right away, and I think it's the main thing that people love about this mic. So if you're looking for something fresh and new, and you love that sound of a dynamic mic on electric guitar, then I definitely recommend checking out a Telefunken M80. So don't sleep on it, check out the Telefunken M80, I think you'll love it. And then last but not least, I think that every home studio needs to work towards having a really great tube large diaphragm condenser, especially when it comes to recording guitar. And I'm speaking for myself too, like I need to get one as well. We already know that tubes and things sound good. So bringing that same mentality to our recording gear can help us access some of those classic characteristics and tones that we all love. The combination in particular that most people are dreaming of or thinking of when they think of a large diaphragm tube condenser is the Neumann U67. It's one of the best mics ever for acoustic guitar. It's one of the best mics ever for electric guitar. Sounds great on vocals, sounds great on drums. It's just one of the best mics of all time. But even the reissues start between $5,000 and $6,000. And the real ones, $20,000, $30,000, get out of here. If you can afford that, I applaud you. But for the budget-minded person, the best alternative to a mic like that is the Manley Reference Cardioid. I've talked about this mic on the channel a bunch before, and it's because I love it. I love it for what it brings to the table for the cost. One of my favorite mics of all time is the Telefunken Elam 251. You'd be lucky to get one for $8,000. Brand new, they're $11,000. Vintage ones are $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And I used them a lot. When I was working with Bob Weir at TRI Studios, we had a pair of them. So I say all of that to drive in the point that this mic fits right in that camp. There's something about tube large cap condensers and the way that they respond to details, the way they respond to transients. Everything that comes into contact with that mic just gets, in a really great way, saturated with some color and some flavor that makes whatever you're listening to or playing or recording just sound a lot better. It's the kind of mic where you could just have that up and it would be your entire sound. You can do lo-fi type stuff with it if you put enough distance between it, and it has a killer pad on it, so if your amp is loud or you're playing something a little bit louder, it's not going to break up or distort. It's durable, it's new, and it's not plagued with some of the same problems that vintage mics usually have. Manley is still in business, and if anything happens to it, you can get it repaired, and they're still making them new today. So if you've been building out your home studio and you're ready for that first really great mic that you're going to keep forever, get the Manley Reference Cardioid. This mic is really good at bringing you right there with the moment where the recording is happening. It's the most expensive mic on this list, but you can still get them for a great used price. Sometimes you can find like demos and B-stocks of them out there, and no matter what, it's a great one that's worth saving up for. It really will plug you right into a lot of the sounds and flavors of some of your favorite records of all time. So I highly recommend the Manley Reference Cardioid if you're looking for that one great holy grail type mic to have for your home studio, especially when it comes to recording guitar. Now, even though we're talking about microphones, I do think that when it comes to home recording solutions and having all the tools you need and access to all the colors of the palette, every guitar player needs a great DI that they love. Not just the one that's built into your interface, but an external DI that you trust. At the very least, you feel doesn't interfere with your sound, but hopefully actually makes it sound even better. My favorite DI, as I've said on this channel a lot, is the LR Baggs Para DI. Don't get me wrong, there are lots of great DIs out there, and the differences between them are usually very small. But what I love about this DI is the built-in preamp and the built-in EQ. It makes the guitar sound a little thicker, kind of like you're running it through, like more analog gear, like a console or a compressor or something like that. It doesn't sound like you just plugged it straight in. So if you don't already have an external DI that you love, I highly recommend the LR Baggs Pear DI, but whatever you can get your hands on and afford, even if it's just one of the cheap Behringer DIs, it's good to have in the tool belt. So get a DI, and if you can, get the LR Baggs Pear DI. Alright, that's it. I hope this video was helpful and it gave you a better sense of what microphones to bring to your home studio. There are so many great choices out there, and these days, many of them fit within the budgets of all of us. You can get some great stuff for under 500 bucks. You can get some wonderful stuff for under 1,000. So when it comes to microphones, your money has never gone further. A big part about playing guitar is about hunting for tone and finding your voice on the instrument. And microphones are a very small but important part of that equation. So thanks so much for watching. It's great having you here. Please be sure to subscribe and like. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.